And now we're officially started. We are recording this for educational and promotional purposes. So I'd like to welcome you. I'm Edwin Rush, the Director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. And for about the past 14 years, I've been working on the topic of empathy, really like seeing how we can build a more empathic culture in society. I started the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy website, which is at cultureofempathy.com. And it's the largest resource for empathy material on the internet. I've interviewed hundreds of experts on the topic of empathy. All those books, 3 shelves of books, they're all on empathy. And I've interviewed most of the authors, and you can see those interviews on the website. And so from my experience of working on this topic, I found that the empathy circle practice is one of the most effective first step gateway practices for learning, deepening, building our empathy muscles. So that's what this is today. This is an introduction to the Empathy Circle Facilitator Training. We're wanting to train people in how to facilitate their own empathy circles. And I'm going to just show you, do a little screen share here of our agenda for today. And, oh, there we go. This is the outline. We're going to have the welcome, which I'm doing right now. We'll have a short participant introductions. Just share your name, your location, and why you're interested in the training. I'll review the training, kind of give a little overview of it. We'll have some time for questions and answers. Then we'll review how to do the empathy circle, a little introduction for the process, and then we'll actually do an empathy circle. And then we'll have a full group debrief, and we go for 2 hours. So with that, I'm still letting people into the room here. People are still coming in. So with that, we do just a quick introduction, your name, where you're from, and just like 1 sentence of why you're interested in the training. So I'm Edwin Rush from San Francisco Bay Area, and I just feel the Empathy Circle is just a very important practice that I would like everyone in the world to be able to learn. So with that, Eli, would you go next?
I'm Eli. I'm in Edinburgh, Scotland, and I'm also interested in spreading empathy circles throughout the world, and certainly in my own neighborhood and communities.
Would you be willing to call on people? Just go through the whole list and call on everyone to check in while I create the breakout rooms.
Okay, how about Anne?
Hi, I'm Anne Hemingway Foyer, and I'm in Miami. And I have a chapter of XR called the XR Miami Dragonflies, with dragonflies having a Z at the end instead of an IES. And I don't see any members of my group in this group, but anyway, I have always shown empathy toward people, but I want to find out what the official training is all about.
Thank you. And Betsy? Can you unmute, Betsy? Or are you having trouble?
Okay, sorry. All right, I'm from Albany, New York, and I'm an anthropologist, and I work a little bit in the medical field and some training and with college students and state agencies in diversity work, and I think this is a perfect fit for that. And also just talking to a social worker from a hospital about the lack of empathy in hospitals right now, so this could be better timing.
Yes, well, welcome. Thank you. Kat.
Hi there. My name is Kat, and I'm based in Aberdeen, Scotland. And this is something that also I feel is a really valuable skill that I want to develop myself more, but also a gap I've sort of identified in my local community that I want to sort of keep developing locally. It's something that I've sort of found myself doing for a while and realizing that there could be more of it. So I want to sort of promote that.
Thank you. Deborah.
Hi, I'm Deborah. I'm from the UK. I've taken a pause, but next year I'm going to get back into training. I work in the field of dementia care, so I was training care staff, mostly residential homes for the elderly. And yeah, this is a skill that I think is badly needed in that sector. There's a lot of burnout. It will be fantastic for team building and healing of this, traumatic time everyone's going through.
Yeah. Thank you. And Graham.
Thank you, Eli. I live in Windsor, Ontario, as I say on my little script there. And that's Canada, by the way. And I'm interested in this for, first of all, personal development. And then I think about what Deborah has just said. I'm actually interested in the mental health areas and somewhere along the line, working as a therapist. And I need to develop empathic skills, listening skills, empathic skills, and the like. And those are the reasons why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm in San Diego, California, and I'm a school counselor for middle school students at a fairly tough urban school. And I'm really interested in teaching empathy to my students, staff, parents, the whole school community.
Thank you. And Jane.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Jane, based in Korea, South Korea. Now here, 3 a.m. So I was waiting for 3 hours to be here together. And once I joined this empathy circle before, then it was really shocked that I felt something really different from other empathy like a practice. So I wanted to join again, but it was very big challenge for me to wake up this time. So today during the daytime, I slept more than 5 hours to be here today. So I'm really happy to be with you today. Thank you.
I love to hear that. Thank you. And Sharon.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Brilliant. Hello, thank you. It's lovely to be here. Thank you very much, Edwin and Eli, is it? For
Eli, yes.
hosting. Wow, Jane, that's impressive. Okay, so I'm in the UK. I'm in Devon, in Exeter and Devon in the southwest. And my reasons for being here is I first heard about it from XR, which I'm part of the Regen group in XR, so it would be useful for that. I have a politics background as a politician, which I've kind of become disillusioned with because of the polarization, and I do feel like this is the way forward for that. And thirdly, I'm training to be a counselor or psychotherapist, I think you call it in the States, don't you? So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. And is it Michael? It's all one word. I don't know where it starts and stops.
It's actually Aaron Kerwin. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay.
On Zoom, I've got to take care of that. Yeah, so Aaron Kerwin, and I live in Ohio, US. I'm in holistic medicine. And well, I guess, gosh, over the years, just really felt like separation from each other, separation from nature, like those kind of things are some of our main, what ails us, I guess. So just been looking for tools, and also I found this like the potential for self-development, really great with this process. And so I'm just excited to keep learning more.
Oh, thank you. And Corinne.
Hi, I'm Corinne. I'm currently in near Boston in the US, but I'm come from France. And I'm here because I mean, I have seen in a lot of groups, I was an activist group, a lot of yeah, some kind of burnouts and pain and difficulty of coping with all that's happening right now. And I'm very interested in developing those empathic skill and listening skill, and maybe trying to, yeah, incorporate this in the circles I'm in, and helping people to cope with all that we have to cope right now. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Corinne. And Bill.
Hi, my name is Bill Filler. I'm a retired special education teacher living here in the San Francisco Bay Area in California. I've been working with Edwin for about 3 years, and I'm one of the trainers of the training.
Great. And you missed the announcement probably to put ECF after your name if you're willing to facilitate a breakout room.
Okay, well, Edwin knows that I'm willing.
He knows.
Okay.
And Sita, is it Sita?
Yeah, hi, I'm Sita. I am here because I'd like to build more empathy skills just with friends and family. And then also I'm an acupuncturist, and so I think it's a good skill for the work that I do. And I also work at an acupuncture school, and we are in the process of having some challenging discussions, and so it's something I'd like to bring to the school as a container for these discussions. And also, yeah, I feel like we really need a lot more empathy in the world, and so I'm also open to see how this work might take me forward in other directions. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Where is here?
Oh, sorry. I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Ah. Love Portland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Susanna.
Hi, I'm Susanna. I'm in upstate New York, in Ithaca, New York. And I'm interested in this, I guess, mostly because it just seems like what the world really needs a lot more of right now. And I'm interested in finding out more. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. And Maxi.
Hi, I'm Maxi Eric Gital. I'm based in Kenya, and I'm linked to a friend, and I decided to participate because for two reasons. One, when I was doing my end of year review as an individual at work, I scored myself low when it comes to empathy because of everything that was going on around the year. I felt as though I did not quite get as an aggregator of voices and someone who believes in busting silos and aligning resources and bringing people together, building a community. I did not feel as though I quite got there. And I felt I need to build a little bit more empathy at a professional level. But also, I just turned 10 in my marriage, and I felt that, you know, in the next decade, I would love to be a little bit more empathetic with my wife, with my kids, and with my family. So this is for me professional and personal. So I'm here and I'm happy.
Great, thank you. And Anatoly. Is your microphone on? You're not muted, but I'm not hearing you. Oh, now I think I'm hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Anatoly from Israel, and I'd like to see more empathy in the world and more empathy circles. And I'd like to have more of them like around me in my community, and especially to bring them to local Extinction Rebellion groups. That's why I'm here.
Thank you. And I think I got everybody. Was there anybody I missed?
Do you want to
There's
admit,
Betsy.
yeah, and do you want to admit George? He's in the waiting room.
Oh, I didn't see that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. If you want to admit somebody, sure, Bill.
Okay.
I didn't see him there.
Okay, sure. I just wanted to make sure. Sorry, go ahead.
Hello, George. We were just all introducing ourselves and you've missed
Hi.
everybody, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you. I heard most everybody. I don't know where I got dropped out, but good to see everybody. My name is George Lecompte. I live in Hawaii, and I was introduced to empathy through my time with NVC, Nonviolent Communication. And the reason I was interested is I could definitely see how the awareness and the practice has made changes in my life, and I want to expand on that in personal and in my community and professional groups. Mahalo.
Mahalo, thank you. And back to you, Edwin.
And there was Betsy that did you call and doesn't have video? Don't know if.
I think we only have one Betsy here and she just showed up twice because
I
she
see.
was having
Okay.
trouble connecting.
Got it. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, great to see people from Extinction Rebellion here. That's, for those who don't know, it's an environmental group, and we've done a lot of work with Extinction Rebellion. Some of the founders have done empathy circles. The practice has spread throughout Extinction Rebellion, and so we're really glad to see people from that group here. In terms of mentioning NVC, the empathy circle, there's a lot of different practices that are based on empathy, on the work of Carl Rogers. If you're familiar with, getting a little feedback there. If you're familiar with the work of Carl Rogers, he developed the empathic listening or active listening process in sort of the therapeutic dimension field. And what we're doing is taking that practice and just turning it into a relational, taking it out of the therapeutic and just putting it into the human relational practice, just that anyone can take part in. And there's a lot of other practices built on this: NVC, focusing, motivational interviewing, all kinds of mediation practices. They're all based on this foundational this practice, and even therapy, psychology. If you do the empathy circle, it's really good practice for just learning is a foundational practice for all those other practices. So let me just go through the process of if you're wanting to sign up for a course for the training, I'll just put in this is the main course website, and I'm going to just share this and kind of go through it step by step and review it. And once we've reviewed it, we'll have some questions and answers, and then go into doing the practice itself. And so here we go. This is the website, Introduction to Empathy Circle Facilitation. This is our previous cohort number 5, greeting you. We have found that we can take up to 21 participants in a training. We've been sort of scaling up. And so this gives a little bit of an introduction. We had been doing 4 sessions, but we expanded it to 5, and we're doing it once a week. And it's 2.5 hours a week. And there is no cost to take part. If you're wanting to donate, there's a donation page here. And really the trainers and the trainees, what we're really wanting to do is just spread this practice. My goal, my vision is that every person in the world should be able to learn this practice. And, that's like 8 billion people. So we've got a lot of people to kind of train, and we're wanting to train you in being a facilitator. You can take the training again and then become a trainee. And we want to train you to be trainers of trainers too. So just to really sort of spread the practice. So you can take the 5 session training, take it again, and we'll give you sort of parts to present, and then do that a couple times, and then we'll try to support you in setting up your own trainings. We can set you up with other people that want to train, and to really spread the practice widely. You'll see there's a start page here that you can click through. If you click through to that, that takes you to our Facebook page, and that's where, you know, it's an event page. You can see here's the event today. We just expanded this intro, so you can join us on January 1st. So every Friday, we're going to be doing this intro as well. And one of the requirements of taking the training is that you've done at least 2 or more empathy circles beforehand. And taking part in this introduction today or Friday or the Fridays, that meets the requirement for 1 empathy circle. So if you come Friday, you do it again, then you're ready to take the training. This is also, you know, we have a discussion area here, and that's where we sort of post all the latest updates. And so it's good to kind of just bookmark this, kind of keep an eye on what's happening here, because that kind of is sort of our communications channel. I will just show this video here. That's Lou, and that's doing an empathy circle training at UC Berkeley on Sproul Plaza. That's the main plaza. And we have some of our trainers with our shirts, which you see me wearing. And we were working with a group of students there. And we have this empathy tent that we take out. And you can see that in the background. And we actually, before COVID, we go out and we offer empathic listening and empathy circle practice out on the streets, and also take it to demonstrations. Like when the political left and right are battling it out, like here in Berkeley, we set up the empathy tent. We offer listening to both sides and try to bring the sides together to dialogue and listen to each other with a bit of facilitation. And the empathy circle practice, it really is a great practice for conflict resolution too. If you can bring people who are in conflict into an empathy circle, it really starts unraveling the conflict. And so that's just one of the many benefits of the practice. The cohorts, you can, if you scroll down the page again, you know, on our main page, you can see the cohorts that we have coming up. So we have, at the moment, we only have this cohort 8, and if you click through it, you know, sends you to a sign up page, and there's some steps there for signing up, and that cohort is full, but you can add your name to the wait list, and then we'll have your contact info. We can let you know about if somebody drops out or if there's another cohort starting. And we have another cohort 10 that's starting, but it's specifically for an organization called the STOA. If anyone here is from the STOA, you get preference to join that cohort, because we're trying to help this group kind of set up their own series of empathy circles and trainings. And so we do hope to set up some more cohorts in the next several weeks. So you can just kind of stay tuned. There'll be an application to fill out. It's a Google form. This is the 2 empathy circle prerequisite. So just want you to have a little bit of experience with the empathy circle, you know, process before you do the training. And you don't have to take part in one of our circles. You can actually just do a circle with your family, friends. Like Eli, I know you're doing it with one of your groups, so you can just do it with your group. The instructions are on the website. You can just share those instructions with you know, family, friends, and hold your own circles, just so that you've done at least 2 circles to begin with. And we have the module 1, the training. As I said, it's 5 sessions, and we always use this same URL right now. And you can go through and check each session, so you get a little bit of an outline, so you can kind of prepare yourself. You know, you can see what's coming up for that session, and so you got there session 3, session 4, session 5. So that's the outline, and then there's some course references. Like one of the topics is the values of a culture of empathy, you know, how to do the empathy circle, We have a facilitator support group. And I might mention, so the requirements is it's 2.5 hours per week. We'll match you up with another person every week to do an empathy buddy call, and that's about 30 minutes. We ask that you try to do an empathy circle, facilitate an empathy circle during the week. So that's another hour or two, but that's optional. And so that's sort of the time requirements. And then we have a bunch of other, material. And then here's a bunch of reference links to our calendar, the empathycircle.com website, cultureofempathy.com site. So it's our empathy tent. So we have a lot of different projects, and you can, check those out. And I'll scroll back up. And you can see you can go into more depth here on the side for each session, course references, kind of, etc. So that's sort of the overview of the process for signing up. Let me see what else we've got here. About the training path. Yeah, so we're really wanting to get you to actually eventually become a trainer yourself. So that's part of the training. If you start teaching others, it's also a good way to learn. So we're really trying to promote that too. And I think that's kind of it. Bill, are you?
Sorry.
Bill, anything else am I leaving out? Did you like to share the?
No, I mean, I thought that I was just kind of looking and critiquing you're very thorough, Edwin, and I really appreciate it. It really gives people a good grounding. What I would say is that, in my experience as a special education teacher, I see that the healing that's needed. And I think that this is a very important tool to use and to not only create healing therapies, but to heal the world. Thanks.
Yeah, great. So we'll just open it up for any questions and answers. I'm still trying to refine this orientation to make it better. So there's going to be a feedback form at the end afterwards you can fill out, but we'd like to take any questions and see if we can kind of, yep. Deborah, just raise your hand.
I'm not a member of Facebook. Is that going to be a problem in terms of accessing information?
It's not. If you access that website, that's a Google site, and all the information is there. The Facebook is more the calendar and kind of updates, general updates. We post the videos, we record the training for educational purposes, and, I post them there. I think you can see it. You just can't interact if you're not a member. So, yeah. Other questions? Was it comments? Yep, Anne? You're muted.
It looks like there's somebody in the waiting room, or Nadav.
He's here.
Oh, okay.
He's muted.
Okay. No more questions. Did it seem clear, Sharon?
Okay, just to clarify then, so this is one of the 2 circles that we need to do before the training. You mentioned some on Friday evening. If that's difficult for us, what are the other options?
There's on Facebook, there is the event calendar list, and there's other circles that other people are holding. You can take part in those. So that's this one, and Friday is the one that I'm hosting. And otherwise, you can just take the instructions and hold your own empathy circle. The basic process, it's really designed to be really simple, and I think part of the strength is the simplicity of it. People have mentioned NVC, and that takes a lot of training because you're really going sort of into depth, into the feelings and needs. And, it's quite a long-term practice. Whereas the empathy circle, you can bring someone who doesn't know the practice in, just explain how it works. And, within, a very short period of time, they'll know how to do it. And then what the challenge is if if there's more conflict. The higher the conflict level, you know, and then the more skill you need to sort of match it. But for the average person, majority, it'll go fairly easy. So you, in other words, I'm saying you can just hold an empathy circle with family and friends, and that will meet the requirement. So, okay, yeah, Jane.
I joined once before, then the process is quite simple, but the problem that I found is like a language barrier, because this English is not my native, it's not my mother tongue. So even I try to summarize what the people said and make them feel heard, but I couldn't fully understand the English. So that was one of my big barrier that I found. So sometimes I felt like maybe I'm not the right persons to join to be the partner of somebody, because I cannot catch up the story. Even I try to be more neutral, and so that is something I faced when I'm joined here. So are there any
Yeah.
so maybe.
So the challenge of with language, maybe not quite understanding what someone is saying, and it's really up to the speaker to sort of slow down and be heard to their satisfaction. So one thing is you can ask them to, you know, perhaps pause more often. Say a little bit, and I'll reflect, because if they're speaking for a long period, it's harder to remember or to reflect that. So you can say, oh, let me just interrupt you and reflect back what I'm hearing, or maybe say it in smaller pieces. So that is kind of the main thing that can help. And so I appreciate you're willing to take, you know, try this in a language that is not maybe your first language. That's there's since we're very international, that kind of comes up, you know, a lot too. So.
I tried this one with my friends, and in Korea with the Korean language, I felt like more easy for me. But last time when I joined here, I felt like I'm dissolving more, because this one is more for focusing onto the speaker basis. So let the people feel heard. But because of me, he tried to rephrase in the easy words and something. It makes them not much into their own story. So
right.
I felt like I feel sorry about that at the
moment. So you're feeling sorry that you're kind of maybe not following as closely as it. Well, for one thing is each person is different. See, each speaker is going to be different. So you get a variety of, you know, people to listen to. And it's not just about the speaker, it's about the relationship, you know, having a mutually empathic relationship. So part of being a speaker is to say things in a way that the listener can comprehend. So it is, you know, they have some responsibility. It's not all your response. In fact, the speaker has more responsibility, I would say, than the listener, because it's their job to be heard to their satisfaction and say things in a way that is, you know, that can be understood by the listener. So yeah. So Graham, I saw your finger there.
Yes, I was wanting to respond to Jane, and you basically said it, that the speaker has a responsibility in trying to make themselves heard and understood. And so the obligation and responsibility is not solely on the listener. And Jane is doing a fantastic job communicating anyway. So
absolutely, yeah. So we take one more question. If there's one more, then we'll go into the how-to. Any last question? Okay, great. So next we'll go into how to take part in the Empathy Circle. There's several videos. We have the kind of the shortest version is 6 minutes, and there's a 9-minute version, a 24-minute version. And before you take the training, it's good to see all of those. And but we'll just for time show the shortest version. So this is the how-to, and I'm going to stop that. I didn't turn on the audio. Share screen, share sound. Oh, just a hands up. Who has seen the video? Is there or anybody? Okay, so not everybody. Okay, great. Well, okay. Share screen. Okay. I'm Edwin Rush, founding director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. I'd like to welcome you to this short presentation on how to take part in a basic empathy circle. So next, let's look at the step-by-step how to take part. An empathy circle starts with 2 to 7 participants. Here on the screen, we have 4 participants, which I find is an ideal number. There are 4 basic roles, and the roles rotate among the participants as the empathy circle unfolds. 1, the speaker, is the first person to speak. 2 is active listener who actively listens to the speaker. There's the silent listeners, they quietly observe and witness. And the facilitator who organizes, schedules, and hosts the circle. They also do the timekeeping, and they have some experience with the process and help keep participants in the process. However, everyone has the responsibility to hold the process and the practice. So to begin with, the facilitator will start the empathy circle. They welcome the participants. They lead introductions if the participants don't know each other. The facilitator invites participants to give short introductions, for example, their name, where they're from, and something personal about themselves. The facilitator then reviews the empathy circle process to remind everyone how it works. They announce the discussion topic, if there is one. Even if there is a topic, you can always talk about what is alive for you. That is what is on your mind in the moment. And 5, they set the speaker time limits, perhaps 5 minutes, for example. And the facilitator then asks who would like to start to be the first speaker. So at that point, the participant volunteers to be the first speaker. As speaker, you select who will be your active listener, and you can select anyone that you want. You speak about the topic given or whatever is alive for you. And so you'll speak a bit until you have maybe expressed an idea or two, and then you want to pause to give the active listener a chance to recap what they understand that you are saying and feeling. If you say too much, the listener may have difficulty in reflecting it. As the active listener, you are listening to the speaker to get an understanding of what they're saying and what is important to them. You are giving them your full attention as a supportive companion on their inner journey and exploration. When the speaker pauses, you recap your understanding of what they said and how they feel by reflecting the essence of that in your own words. You can summarize, paraphrase, or even say the speaker's words back to them. Even though you may have a strong impulse to respond with your own ideas, judgments, analysis, advice, and sympathy, or even questions, resist the impulse to do so because these common responses block the speaker from moving along their internal journey. You'll be able to say whatever you want when it is your turn to be the speaker. If you don't reflect the understanding to the speaker's satisfaction, they can always say it again. Then as speaker, you check, do you feel understood to your satisfaction? If you do not feel understood, you can say it again, perhaps in different words. If you do feel understood, continue sharing. Again, after speaking a bit, pause to give your active listener a chance to recap their understanding of what you said. As the active listener, you again share your understanding of what the speaker said and meant. The cycle of speaking and reflecting continues until you as the speaker do not have anything else you'd like to say, or until you get a signal from the timekeeper. If you get a signal from the timekeeper, then finish up what you're saying in a sentence or two. After you get a final reflection, you can end your turn by saying something like, I feel fully heard, or something like that to indicate you are done with your speaking turn. At that point, the roles then rotate. The active listener becomes the speaker. The person they select becomes the new active listener. For everyone having equal time, it is good to select someone that hasn't spoken lately, but it is your choice. The others in the circle become the silent listeners. This process of taking turns in speaking and active listening continues for whatever time is allotted for the empathy circle. And this was just a very short introduction. The best way to learn the practice is taking part and doing it. There is more in-depth material on taking part in an empathy circle and facilitating one at empathycircle.com. Thank you for listening. Alrighty, so I'm going to put in the link. We're going to have our topic is what is your experience of the empathy circle, or why do you want to take part in the training, or whatever is alive for you is going to be the circle topic. We're going to have 5-minute turns. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 circles we're going to divide into. Eli will facilitate one, Bill one, Graham the other, and I'll do number 4. So I think we're ready to go into the, yeah, Graham.
Just quickly recap the purpose of our empathy circles, our breakout rooms.
We're going to have 1 hour, and the topic, I put the purpose, or we're just getting, this is just a practice, so everyone gets to practice, and I'm putting in the topic is what is your experience of the empathy circle? So when do you feel anxious? Do you feel excited? Are you curious? Or just whatever about your experience being in the circle. Or you can talk about why you want to take part in the training, or you can talk about anything that you want, anything that's alive for you. Does that kind of answer it, Graham?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you, Edwin.
And it's in the chat there. And we're doing 5-minute turns, and after 5 minutes, the facilitator will hold up, a sign or their watch or something like that. And there's 2 new people that came in that perhaps they can just be in, they can introduce themselves in the circle itself. Not Dave and Rosanna, so they'll be in a circle, and I just want to have a short intro from them in the circle. So I think we're ready to go. We have 1 hour for the empathy circle, then we'll come back and do a debrief. So here we go. See you there.
Level of Zoom ability when you can do breakout rooms on it.
Okay, for some reason it takes a long time for me to join these breakout rooms in Zoom. Okay, great. So we can get started. I'll keep time, or somebody want to keep time? Somebody have a clock handy, or just kind of.
I can grab my phone.
Okay. Yeah. Sharon's got 5 minutes, and then just hold it up, and yeah. So whoever would like to start, and you can, if someone wants to speak to me to begin with, that would be, I can model the listening. You get 5 minutes.
I'll start. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, am I going first?
I'm listening.
I'll just wait. I can't. Oh, I can see you there, Edwin. It's because you're on another screen. Okay, I'll just start. Your first question was about what is your experience of the empathy circle so far? So I can say that I've got a mixture of sort of excitement and anxiety with happiness at the same time, because it's something new, but also it feels right at the same time.
So I'm hearing there's a variety of feelings that come up, excitement, some anxiety, some, yeah, and so it's just variety of these different feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. And my reason for sort of joining is just due to the journey that I've been on for a while, and with the kind of background that I've got with the sort of work that I do. So I do training, and I've noticed a gap with what it just fits the gap for what I do with training a class, for example. So I train a dance class, but I recognize that this is a component that has been present, but not the obvious thing that's being taught.
So one of the reasons for wanting to take the training is you see that there's a gap in your teaching, and it's, for example, in a dance class that you're doing. And so this would sort of, this skill, this empathic listening skill would be something that you could sort of apply into that gap.
Yes, and it's something that I've been teaching for 12 years, but what I've actually realized is that I've been doing the empathy with the dance, and the community of women in the class have been, it's been a benefit in a kind of community that's come from the dance. So I've ended up being in a position where I want to take the dance out and make it just the empathy, really, to make it its own thing.
So, oh, you've already been doing the empathy in this group, and you're wanting to take that out to have it be just about dance and empathy, or not sure I quite get that, but
I speak a little backwards. Yeah, so I've been teaching a dance class for 12 years, but then I've also had this empathy community aspect I've been building as a value of the class, but that's kind of become the main interest about having the group of people together, because although the dance skill is a good one to teach, I've recognized this is another part that I want to focus on.
Oh, so it's been a part of the class, and it sounds like it's becoming a more important part. You really want to focus on this aspect of empathy.
Yeah, and then to couple that as well, that's my self-employment. And I've also got employment, where I train people to use a system. And then I recognize that I want to find a way to bring my self-employment and employment together in time. And I like training people, I like building a community. And then I recognize that I want empathy to be an aspect that's actually knowing. It's not just a subtle part, it's an actual aspect of the experience that people recognize and you actually acknowledge, not just subtly present.
Oh, so empathy is sort of a subtle process, so way of being in the work that you do, and you're wanting to make it more aware, more conscious of that, and that you also are doing it in your work and your own private work, and you're kind of wanting to bring that together.
Yes, because I see something coming together in the future that brings it into one area I'm trying to do, rather than to split self-employment plus employment, because it's like developing in both areas. But I can see, I don't know, I just see a way of it being a part of what I'm going to end up doing.
So you're really seeing that the empathy is like a part of what you want to do. It sounds like you want to sort of integrate your different work to be about sort of empathy and kind of have it be integrated.
Yeah, integrate is a really good word actually for the way that I'm describing it there. So yes, so it's not such a subtle aspect that some people are quietly having empathy, and it's almost something that's underground is a bit of a strange word for it, but it's something you want to be proud of in public with, to say I'm doing this and I'm this way and I'm proud and strong, and I'm going to say I'm doing this because of the opposition that you can actually receive from people when you are doing it, I suppose.
Yeah, so you want to be sort of proud about it and have it be really clear and sort of public that this is what we're doing, instead of it being sort of kind of vague and unclear. But yeah, I think that's what I mean.
Because I work with a group of different personalities, some of whom are quite opposite and strong in their sort of criticism of empathy being soft and fluffy. So I'm like, no, I'm going to be strong about it, but soft at the same time, because it's something you can be strong in, and they see it as a weakness, but I really want to champion it as a strength.
Okay, well, that
to
was
them.
5 minutes, and I just give a
Yeah.
last reflection. So yeah, so there's you're wanting to be sort of strong about the empathy. There's criticism of it. People see it as fluffy and not relevant, and you're wanting to be maybe assertive and strong about your advocacy of empathy.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sita, can I speak to you? Yeah. That whole issue of strength and empathy is it just reminds me of a quote by Carl Rogers. He talks about empathy being a gentle, strong sort of a way of being, because to be empathic and go into somebody else's world and be able to come back into your own, I mean, takes some real strength. You know, not everybody can sort of do it.
Yeah, so I hear you reflecting on what Kat was talking about in regards of empathy and strength, and makes you think about Carl Rogers and his quote, and I don't remember the exact words, but something to the effect of that empathy actually is a real gentle strength. I think you said the ability to let yourself be in somebody else's world and then come back to your own world. That takes a lot of strength.
Yes, I'm really excited about Kat's vision, or what she's kind of working towards. I think it's really important, because I see it too, that we need sort of an assertive empathy, like an empathy. It's not like, oh, please, can we have a more empathic world? It's like, damn it, we want an empathic world. And I'm going to assert this, you know, and it's time that we do this, especially sort of in the political realm.
Yeah, yeah. So you're really excited about what Kat had to say about her interest in empathy, and you have a lot of passion yourself about, you know, damn it, empathy is really important here, and I want to assert empathy and build a more empathetic world, and we really need this.
Yeah, and Eli, who's in the other group, I mean here too, but she and I are doing a group where we're trying to bring empathy with politicians. So, like, my congressman has said that he was willing to take part in an empathy circle with Republicans. He's Democrat, so that's sort of the assertiveness. We want, you know, the Democrats, Republicans to take part in an empathy circle and, you know, be assertive about it. And once the COVID is over, I'd like to take our empathy tent to DC and set it up in front of the White House and insist that Biden and the Congress, you know, take part in empathy circles. So that's the assertiveness. Go, Kat.
Yeah. So you and Eli are working on a group to get the Congress people to hold empathy circles, and that's what you see as the assertiveness part of the empathy circles. It's like, okay, you know, this is really important. We're going to bring this to Congress. I want you all to sit down and talk together using these empathy circles, and you have a goal to also bring it to Washington, D.C. once COVID is over.
And there's also the nonviolent aspects, like Martin Luther King and nonviolence. It's like his nonviolent direct action was, first you say, hey, we need to have a dialogue, you know, with the people in power about some kind of a problem. And more times than not, they say, we don't need to talk to you. We don't want to talk to you, right? Because we got the power. We don't need to talk to you. Then you do the nonviolent direct action to get, you know, sit at the lunch counters, demonstrate. But the goal is always to bring the people into a dialogue and into an empathic dialogue. So I really see that assertiveness is sort of needed to bring people to the table, especially if we want to change society. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you saying that the assertiveness piece is really important, because the goal is really to have a dialogue, but oftentimes politicians, people just won't listen, and so then there's the piece of going out and doing nonviolent demonstrations until it gets to the point where they realize, okay, we have to listen. then you can go and use the empathy circles and empathy to have the dialogue that's really needed.
Yep, very well heard. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so Sharon, will you listen to me?
Yes, is someone else going to do the timer? Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, yeah, so I'll just start and say that this is my third empathy circle that I've participated in, and I just am really enjoying the empathy circles a lot. One of the things that I've noticed that we spoke about last week was the sense of, people coming together who've never met each other. I'll also say I love the fact that it's an international group of people. And even though we spend such a short time, because of the type of communicating that we're doing, there's a sense of friendliness that develops very quickly.
Yeah, I can hear that, and I can see that in you right now, that you've said that this is the third empathy cafe circle that you have been to. You really like that it's international, and that you can feel the friendliness as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it, I spoke earlier that I'm interested in developing this skill with friends and family, and also in my school. And I also feel like I do have an interest in bringing it out into the wider world, and I really don't know how I would do that yet, but that's something that I feel called to do. So I'm interested to see how that develops over time.
Okay, so that's really interesting. You've mentioned that you're thinking of doing this or working in this way with your family, but also with school, which I think is that your work. Yeah, so with the school where you work, and then you're sort of not sure where else it will take you, but I think it sounds like you're open to where that journey is going to go.
Yeah. I just, I feel like our world needs a lot more empathy, and I really like Edwin's idea about taking it to politicians, and also I see it could be very useful in demonstrations, and really actively building more of a culture of empathy. That sounds very appealing to me, and so anyway, I like thinking about the possibilities of it. So I think it's going to be a lot of hard work too, but definitely important work.
Okay, so you mentioned what Edwin had said about the work with politicians, which sounds really interesting. Developing that, and I think just mainly just seeing where it can go in the wider world, really, and the possibilities you're interested in exploring.
Yeah. Gosh, what else to say? I notice in myself that I have some nervousness and questions. I feel like one of the questions I wonder is that in the way that my brain works, I'm not good at remembering a lot of factual information. And so I wonder if I wanted to take this into the wider world, would there be details that I would need to remember, or is solely the role of facilitator, where just helping people to reflect back and that kind of thing, is that the most important piece? I don't know, but I find myself wondering about that.
Okay, so I'm hearing that you're sort of sure about, not sure, but you've got some ideas about where you want to go with the work. You mentioned school and family, and then possibly politics and other things. But now you're starting to think a little bit more about how it could be hard work. and well, it's just work, you know, it's a process, and there's a little bit of worry, a bit of anxiety, and just you're just a bit unsure, I think, maybe about the process, which it involves sort of concerns about your memory and whether you'll be able to remember everything that somebody said, whether you need to remember everything, and how the process works.
Something like that, but that's not quite it. It's not so much concern about remembering what people have said, but wondering if how much details I need to know about the situation. Oh, time to be continued, about the situation within which the empathy circle is happening. I can talk more about that later.
Okay, I'll just finish up to say, yeah, I don't quite get that, and I'd like to hear more at some point.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I don't know who goes next.
You do, Sharon.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get that bit. Hang on, just making sure my phone is quiet because it was making a noise. Throw it on the other side of the room. Right.
I'll keep time. Maybe you want to speak to Erin since she hasn't.
Erin, yes, I'll talk to you, Erin. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I'm keeping up, but it's like trying to trying to concentrate on it all. Yeah, I do this kind of thing for my studies and what have you, but this is quite different. I'm really excited because of everybody being from all over the world. I just think it's amazing, and this is one of my general problems when I'm doing my my training, is I get overexcited about everything. So I just think it's just so exciting. There's the possibilities of what, you know, the future holds, really. I'll leave it there, Erin, or I'll babble on so you can have, because who was I just with talking to? Sita. You did beautiful breaks, so there you go, Erin.
This is good too, a good chunk here. It sounds like you're very excited about joining this today and being here. You especially like that there are people from all over here representing, you know, all over the world, and with the excitement, you indicated that you were just, you know, really trying to keep up, I guess, in with the process.
Yeah, I think trying to focus. It was okay when I went into that mode. I think with Sita, I was a bit kind of like, yeah, I know this mode, but just trying to focus on it all and look at you all and on the screen and everything. So I mean, I love meeting new people, and I think, I don't know how much you guys are socially isolated where you are, but certainly where we are in the UK at the moment, we're not getting out and seeing people as much as we do. So when we do something like this, that's why I get a little bit more excited, because I think how lovely it is to see you all and how exciting to learn a new skill.
So it sounds like it's a familiar place for you to be in this space of empathy. And I'm not sure if that was, you said, with what you do or whatnot, but you did kind of emphasize something about the focus seeming familiar to you. But you're especially excited to join because right now there's not as much opportunity to see like fresh faces and have like as much conversation, and so that's, you know, stimulating and exciting, it sounds like.
Definitely. And sort of being slightly more focused and a little bit less excited now. Just to focus, I really liked the stuff that Edwin was talking about with the politicians, and taking your tent out, I think just really reminded me of XR's work with citizens' assemblies and people's assemblies. And I feel like I've been working with XR for 2 years now, and we're all quite tired as well with that, you know, we're quite, a lot of us that have been involved are tired. You know, we've worked hard and it had some great results, but I do feel personally I'm looking at where to go next. And you know, this for me feels like such a natural place to go with it. Yeah.
So I'm hearing you say that this seems like a natural place to go from some of the experiences that you've had in the past couple of years, specifically with exile and I'm sorry.
Extinction Rebellion. We call it XR for
XR. Okay. That's I was wondering. Okay. So XR and I guess that came to your mind when Edwin was talking about bringing the empathy tent out and giving politicians an opportunity to be in circle and empathy. And you were, you know, as that came to mind, you were reflecting on how tired or kind of burnt out is kind of what I was gathering. You can feel after a couple of years of work such as you could do with XR.
Yeah, I didn't use the word burnout because I don't feel like I am burnt out, because I do feel like I try very hard. I work with the regen group, the regeneration group, and I try very hard to not burn out and to work with people to hope that they don't also become burnt out. So I hope I'm not in that position. I probably have been a couple of times in the last 2 years, certainly after spending, you know, days in London, and we held a bridge for 8 days in London. So I wasn't there all the time, but I certainly get burned out after things like that. So yeah, you pretty much got it there. So thank you very much for listening. Fantastic.
Okay, so
you can give a final reflection if you just want.
Okay, yes, I would like that because I just want to reflect that, oops, am I still on? Yeah, that burnout is not the right word for where you're at, or even like, you know, assuming others are there right now. That you may have had moments of that, you know, holding a bridge, you know, in London for 8 days, may put you close to that, but where you're at now, it doesn't sound like burnout is the right word for that. There's more excitement and wanting to prevent burnout for you or others.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess I'll just kind of keep this, let's see, going around. Kat, do you want to reflect?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I'm feeling like a lot of things that I'm feeling are being reflected here. So I don't have as, you know, a lot of things coming to my mind, but I will say that I'm very inspired by Edwin's talk about, and you, Kat, bringing up being assertive with bringing forward empathy in the world, you know, so.
Yeah, so I'm hearing you say that you've heard a lot said already that you feel reflects how you feel, but also you're connecting to the aspect of being assertive with it too.
Yeah, I like that. That's, I mean, honestly, that's probably the most important part of it. And it seems kind of overwhelming and abstract to bring something healing to the world. That's why it's, you know, so admirable. Edwin has that goal, you know, but I think that's honestly that's even more important than how I might feel, you know, it benefits me or even in my practice, you know, and I care about the people who I work with, but honestly, you know, that vision of having us relate, having other opportunities to understand one another is so important.
So I'm hearing you say that you're you're almost describing it as quite an overwhelming potential kind of opportunity that you're inspired by, and you're mentioning your practice that you have, that you're working within with other people, but also the ability to connect in this other way to this community as well.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to think of anything else. I guess I am interested to find out too, like, what kind of skills, you know, that, you know, you need to facilitate and to represent it and to move it forward and everything as you know, this practice. So I'm excited about all that too.
Yeah, so I can hear that you're excited about the skills that you can develop in the process of learning to facilitate, and I think that would go with what you said the last time about the opportunity, the potential of it, where you're going to put it. So I think you're sort of framing what you're bringing together your view once you kind of start to do it more.
Yeah, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure if we carry on. Do I?
We
another
just
one?
keep going for the time allotted. We still have about half an hour.
Okay.
So you select whoever you wish. Last time you spoke to me, maybe somebody else, just to get a little variety of.
Yeah, no bother. Okay. Okay. I'll go to Sharon if you like.
Okay.
Okay, then I'll get started again. I guess I feel a bit more calm, but also it's quite interesting to see everyone sort of saying similar things that almost mirror what I'm thinking as well. So I definitely agree with the interest in the skills that can be developed from it and the potential for how it can be applied.
Okay, so you said, and I can see that you feel more calm. And you're really interested in the skills, as lots of people have mentioned, and you're saying that yourself, that can be developed from doing this kind of work.
Yeah, absolutely. And where I live is quite has a reputation, depending who you ask, for the oil industry. So that attracts certain kind of culture around the oil industry, which I feel needs this. So working in that industry, I find that the company I'm in is a good one, and this would fit well with their initiatives. But in the past, it's not been as easy in some of them that I've been in. So I've wanted to make it a personal interest to help promote it while I've got the opportunity in the company, and also to take it out of there as well, should I move into where I'm going.
Oh, okay. Keep up with the last bit, but it's okay. At the beginning, I was so interested to hear that you are working in the area of Scotland that's connected with the oil industry, and therefore there is a certain culture associated with that industry, and that the work that you've been doing previously, maybe the empathy wouldn't have fitted so well with the work before, but where you are at the moment, you think it will. And then I got a bit lost on the last bit that you said. So I don't know if you wanted to clarify that.
I was just commenting on where it could go should I leave that company. Then if I've got this development, then I know that I myself can have a personal interest in developing that myself outside of that.
Okay, I get it now. And this reminds me of what you said at the beginning about bringing your personal and your work life together. So if you do this alongside your work, it's a skill, it's transferable skill that you can then take on to anything that you go on to do in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the company I work in, I'm very passionate about the work that we do in the part that I'm in, And one of the benefits is that every month they release like a kind of training. There's a course catalog of training that they select from, and some of that has been empathy and diversity recently. So that's what I was like, wow, this company is really wanting to develop that. So it's been a privilege to be able to see that there and then also here.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. So the place that you're working at the moment has a training program, and empathy and diversity, I think you said, were included within that training, which is like, I think you're quite surprised to see it there, but you're quite excited about it. And because you're feeling quite passionate at the moment about about this type of work.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's not often that you can work for a company where you feel like the values are actually aligned in that way with your own. And after working for certain companies before, you think, wow, this company is an example of one that is embodying that and applying it more than you've seen. So yeah, so it's just something I think, okay, I want to develop this more than the company does. You can see the information, but this is actually applying the knowledge rather than just passively consuming the knowledge.
Okay, that's interesting. So first of all, I heard a kind of gratitude that you're in that position, that you're able to do what the training and everything that you're talking about. But then I was a bit unsure. So are you implying then you think that the company are doing this, but they're maybe going through the motions and they're not doing it with the heart that you bring to it, and that you might take that somewhere else outside? Is that kind of what you're saying? Or?
Sort of, it's not a mandatory training item that they're doing. It's like an optional one that people can choose. And then you also get an audience who's already biased to want it. So then they're going to do it. And then you're still not going to always get the other audience easily if it's not mandatory for them. Though the diversity one was mandatory, which was interesting for the company.
I see what you mean. It's a relief that the diversity one was mandatory, but maybe you think that the empathy one should also be mandatory, or you're not so comfortable thinking that it isn't, and that maybe for you personally that is more important to you than your company is taking how important it is to do empathy training.
That was 5 minutes. Just
okay, I'll just finalize. I was more saying that they've gone to a certain level with it, and which is really good, but I just feel that I can personally develop myself more.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard. I probably just didn't explain that very well, because it gets a bit tiring after 5 minutes of the listening. But yeah, I did hear that's exactly what I heard. I just didn't explain it. But basically that you feel you can take it to another level that the company doesn't offer, basically.
Yeah, I feel heard. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I don't know who goes next.
It's up to you to choose whoever you want to speak to.
Oh, right. Okay. This is the bit I get a bit confused about, who goes next. I will speak to, I can speak to Sita. Am I saying it right? Sita?
You are, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Gosh, I'm not sure what to talk about now. Yeah, I think one of the things I hadn't mentioned last time, which I'm is a kind of a place where I'm at the moment as well, is about conflict, really. I guess it's a reflection of the entire world, really, at the moment. You know, also closely watching the American election and everything else that's happened since. Fascinated by all of that. You know, I don't know how much it translates in the UK about the reality of what we see over here, but goodness me, I thought things were bad in this country, but whoa.
So you've been reflecting on conflict, and I think I think in connection with that doing empathy circling, but just looking at conflict around the world and looking at what's been going on in the elections in the US and thinking about your own country and thinking, gosh, I thought we had problems, but God, when I look at other countries, or maybe you were talking about the US and the problems here, you're like, wow, you just taking that in.
Yeah, definitely. But I must clarify, I don't mean anywhere's worse than anywhere. I just be honest, that's not what I mean. God knows we have problems in this country, and a lot of people do, but I think it's how we solve the problems. And this is where I'm really starting to get more interested in nonviolent communication. I'm fascinated by the whole polarization issue. I'm fascinated by fear and how that kind of shows itself in conversations. Probably that's connected with my psychology, not trainings in psychology, but the psychoanalysis type training.
Yeah, so you've been, you were talking about how you don't want to label any particular country as having it harder than others, and I think you said that you were mainly looking at the conflict and how it gets processed in different places, and the fear that can come out and how that gets expressed, and it's made you develop a deeper interest in nonviolent communication. And sounds like you're also maybe exploring just different ways of communication for these different kinds of conflict situations. That's sort of the gist I'm getting.
Yeah, you're perfectly right there. Perfect. I just give you an example. I'm vegan, and we're coming up to, do you know of veganuary in America? I know
I don't know of it.
Yeah, Cat may have heard of it. So yeah, we have this veganuary is January, but vegan January, yeah. And you can become vegan for the month, try out veganism for the month, and you're supported by a charity and all the rest of it. And I've set up a local group in my town to support people. But when I was promoting it online, I mean, it's not the first time I've come across, anti-vegans. I've been vegan 8 years, but when I was promoting it lately, I just think a lot more about that. So you get attacked a lot on social media for being vegan, so you get some real abuse and all that kind of thing. But I think a lot more about how I respond, or even whether I bother to respond, and that's the change that's happening with me, which started, I think, in XR, not responding to the climate deniers.
Yeah. So you're thinking about your veganism and veganuary. Don't know if I'm saying that quite right, but yeah. And so you organized a veganuary group in your area to support people who wanted to be vegan in January, and just reflecting on the hate in response in social media, and thinking about how your experience in XR and maybe with empathy, that part I wasn't sure about, just has you approaching those kinds of reactions that you've been getting in a different kind of way, and you just have been noticing that.
Yeah, thank you. And just to round up then, so just to clarify that, it is that kind of the empathic side of it is to then understand why somebody would react with aggression, and what is behind their aggression to me, and their hate and all the rest of it to me, because I'm just a pacifist that doesn't kill things. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so trying to understand what might be behind their hate and aggressive responses, and that trying to understand has allowed you to maybe just let it be a little bit more easily?
Yeah, I think a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, let's see. Edwin, I don't know if I should choose you or choose other people, because I know you get a lot of practice in this.
Yeah, whatever you want, it's your choice.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Just trying to think of who has not gone the most recently besides Edwin. I think I will pass just because I think you do probably do this a lot. Yeah, I'll speak to, did I speak to Aaron last time?
Not this round, I don't think.
Okay, okay. Oh, that's right. I spoke with Sharon. Yeah. Okay. Gosh, I'm also sort of at a loss of what to say right now. Yeah, so I'll just talk about that. I'm sort of at a loss of what to say at the moment. I think I'm just taking in what different people have been saying and sort of in some kind of internal way reflecting on empathy and you know, how it's so important, I think, on a micro level within our, you know, just within ourselves, and then with the people that we are closest to, and then branching out into the wider world. And I feel like that's all very philosophical and kind of ungrounded right now and saying all that, but that's what I'm saying at the moment.
So I hear you were feeling that you've been focused on what people were sharing, and you weren't quite sure exactly what you wanted to share in this moment, because you've been kind of focused on everyone as they were talking. And the thing that you started to share was your feelings about empathy, you know, inside oneself with your friends and family, and then, you know, on a larger scale with the world. And you referred to that as abstract in the moment. And I'll wait to hear more and hope that I've reflected.
Yeah. I think I've talked about this before in previous groups, but again, one of the reasons why I'm interested in building this skill is, you know, I hear about, or I see people who are just so skilled at listening to other people who are saying things that it's very difficult to listen to, you know, and I know how hard it is for me just to listen to those kinds of things. And I'd like to get better at that, because I really think that that's what's necessary in order to make any kinds of real change in any kind of conflict situation, whether it's just between two people or it's a larger thing between groups of any kind.
So you were saying that you've witnessed this skill of really listening deeply and reflecting in situations where, you know, maybe the listener was hearing stuff that was very hard to hear, or maybe that they didn't agree with, and still having the capacity to listen and reflect. And it sounds like you were admiring that and really wanting that, especially because you've had experiences before where it has been hard to listen to some things, and so you're seeing that would be something that you desire to have that skill. And I think, and you're saying especially because that seems like a critical piece of to bring to conflict, whether it be, you know, on personal level from between one or two people, or not, or conflict on a larger scale.
Yeah, you've got it exactly. Yeah. Just thinking to see if there's anything else. I think that's basically what I have to say at the moment. Yeah. I've been really appreciating hearing what different people are saying, and yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so you've been enjoying the listening role, and been really happy to hear, or to be here, and the things that you're hearing are resonating with you too.
Yes, great. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay, great. Okay, Edwin, I know that you're due here, so
Listening.
with you to listen. And I think this is really nice to get. This is my third empathy circle, and it's different every time, and I love that. And you know, this time I'm getting to experience it on like not as much sleep, and I feel it's a whole different energy, you know, which is kind of good because I think I've been very nervous. I think I've expressed that every time that I get nervous in front of a lot of people, you know, speaking in front of people. So maybe it's because I'm tired and sleepy, or maybe it's because it's my third time, but I'm feeling, you know, less anxious to, you know, just to put words into what I'm thinking, I guess.
Yeah, so I hear that you're feeling less anxious today in this circle, which is your third circle, and each one is a bit different. And this one, you think that maybe you're less anxious because one is this is a third time, so you're getting familiar with it. And two, when you're really tired, you're feeling tired, and that kind of keeps you from getting anxious too.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's neat. And what else? I think also, you know, the whatever, it's kind of neat to reflect on whatever you bring, you know, to the circle, like this state of where you're at and things. And I've been doing kind of a lot of like working on against a deadline, and so this is such a wonderful you know, way to spend some time. So I'm really grateful to be here. And I know at the same time, I'm not as like sinking into my feelings, you know, or just having as much access maybe, or maybe not being challenged to bring up like feelings maybe. But it's really neat to observe that.
Yeah, so you're just observing yourself, and you're saying that you've been working towards a deadline. So it sounds like really working hard towards that. And this is sort of a different space. You're appreciating a space where you can just kind of not be so directed. But because you've been working at that deadline, you find it a little harder to access your feelings in the moment.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm just witnessing that, just hearing you reflect that, is helping to facilitate me to have a feeling awareness. So I think that's so cool. And I know that's a wiring that we probably all have, you know, to be with reflection and empathy, having that experience, that facilitates more awareness. Awareness and ability to express. So that's really cool.
So you're just noticing that by expressing these states that you're in, that you're actually able to sink deeper into your felt experience, and you just see that that's just sort of maybe a human capacity, and it's kind of cool how that works.
Yes, it's expressing it, but it's also the being reflected part.
Oh, so it's the expression of it and then having that reflected, and it's that that dynamic kind of helps you sink into your felt experience.
Yeah, and I can experience that too sometimes, almost with writing. I do like to do some kind of creative writing, poetry or something like that. And I think that if it's written and then I read it back, I think that sometimes helps me like see where I'm going with things or what I do feel. but I just love it to have the experience with another individual. There's something that, yeah, I mean, you can feel validated, or you can just feel like it's real, you know, of some sort. Once it's set in, it's reflected.
So writing is another way that you sort of can connect to yourself, but there's something special about doing it with someone else, and there's something real, more real about it.
Mm-hmm.
So a real appreciation for for doing it together.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what was, you know, that kind of like answered what my experience is, and also what's just alive for me. I'm just feeling pretty present in this, and watching, you know, watching and learning the process, and everything everyone is saying is resonating. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so you're sort of trying to address the question that was posed, and you're sharing that this is kind of what's coming up for you, and you've been sort of just watching how the process works with others.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay.
I feel fully heard.
Great. Then we just going to send out a message here to broadcast message 6 minutes to closing. There we go. Then speak to Sharon.
Okay.
Yeah, as you were speaking, different things had come up to me that I wanted to address, and the one was with Extinction Rebellion, that I got started with the Extinction Rebellion through this Extinction Rebellion Future Democracy Hub, and they're trying to create more democratic practices, and they really appreciated the Empathy Circle as sort of a gateway first step practice.
Okay, so you're mentioning that you've also worked with Extinction Rebellion, or XR, and you were with the Future Democracy Hub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were appreciating the Empathy Circle, you know, process as sort of a first step for the democratic process. So to get people to be democratic, they have to listen to each other, right? You got to be able to hear each other, understand each other, and then, you know, to make some kind of a shared decisions. And so with, you know, they're working on what they call people's assemblies, citizens assemblies, bringing people together, you know, to have dialogue and work on problems. And they were really appreciating the Empathy Circle as like a first step to have people just start practicing talking to each other.
Okay, so they really appreciated the Empathy Circle as a way of working together, and I really liked that you were kind of alluding to the amusement of democracy, the fact that that means that we talk to each other, which maybe gets lost sometimes, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one part. The other part, I think you were talking about, you get a lot of flack, you know, for being vegan, you get criticisms online. We had some articles written about our empathy tent, and it was one of the articles was in Breitbart, which is a very conservative magazine here in the United States. You know, it was one of the magazines that got Trump elected. And so they actually wrote an article about the empathy tent, about doing mediation. So I'll pause there.
Okay, thank you, because that's quite a lot to take in. You're talking about a conservative publication called Breitbart. Was that
yeah,
what it's
that's
called?
it.
I've not heard of it actually. I'm quite relieved to say, or maybe I should. But anyway, so you said that your empathy tents that you take around and about, that was discussed within this publication.
Yeah, they did an article, and it was actually a fairly clear, fair article, I thought. But the response from the conservative, you know, the readers was just like super critical, like, oh, this is libtards, you know, it was just like the amount of vitriol and criticisms, like, you know, 400 comments like that. So analogous to what you were going through maybe with your veganism. So there was all these criticisms that came, you know, towards us for what we were doing.
I'm really hearing that, and I completely understand the relation with what I was talking about earlier. So you're talking about an empathy tent where people listen to each other being discussed within this publication, which sounds like it was a fair article, which you said, you know, but the same thing as I was saying about the veganism, we're talking about something we're talking about empathy, we're talking about being nice to each other and listening to each other, and yet lots of people got annoyed about that.
Yeah, there was so many criticisms, like 400 or 500, like a negative post. But what I did is I just engaged in it. And I said, oh, great. I really want to hear what you have to say. Can we have an empathy circle to discuss it? And so I used it as an opportunity to invite them into taking part in an empathy circle. And I had a little bit of discussion, you know, online, and suddenly they all became quiet because none of them were sort of brave enough or whatever to come in a face-to-face recorded discussion. So, and I've done that a couple times, and I have a lot of fun with that because I love all those criticisms because I just engage in it and I see it as an opportunity to spread the empathy circle. Yeah.
That's incredible, and it really reminds me of my immediacy work what I'm studying at the moment. So you were in that situation with all those people that were saying all those things, and you used the thing that you were talking about to say, well, why don't we have an empathy circle about how much you don't like empathy circles?
Exactly. Well, about empathy, yeah. Why your criticisms of the empathy tent, empathy circles, and I said they can be 3 of you, and I'll be just me, and I'll take on 3 of you in an empathy circle, and they all kind of chickened out. They all kind of, well, suddenly it became very quiet. So it was really quite. I just think it's so funny. It's just I just have such a laugh over it. It's just so humorous to me.
It does sound like you find it humorous, and the humor is a way of dealing with some of that conflict, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, where do you go from there if they all just retreat?
Yeah. So I keep after. So anyway, that was just so that was at my time, and so we have like 1 minute. We're going to be going back to the full circle. So. Just want to thank everyone for taking part in this. Really enjoyed it. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're heading back. See you in the main room. Okay,
I'm sorry. I was in the middle of saying something, but I guess I got cut off.
Yeah. So I think there's still a few people we're waiting for, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of my group.
Oh, oh, they got 35 seconds before they all get back. Okay, welcome. Oh, they're popping in.
I'm sorry.
Great.
They are.
Welcome back, everyone. So we just have 15 minutes, so we just want to get a quick debrief, how that was, maybe 30 seconds. How was your experience? And we'll go around. Maybe Bill, would you be willing to call on people?
Sure.
And we'll just go across and yeah.
Okay, sure. I'll go around my screen, and I know that you're not Michael Stickrod. You are. Yeah.
Thanks, Bill. Aaron Kerwin.
Aaron, all right.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, so just returning back in from like the 3rd circle that I participated in and had a really good experience. Got to hear some good stories from Edwin, which were great there at the end. And I want to hear more of those stories, you know, so I'm going to be in the next training, and I'm looking forward to that.
Great. Looking forward to seeing you. Sita?
Yeah. This is also my 3rd time participating in an empathy circle, and just like the last 2 times, I really enjoyed it. I also want to hear more stories from Edwin. Yeah, I really appreciate the stories, and I also appreciate what everybody else had to say today. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sita. Sharon?
Hi, just to say the same thing. I really appreciate it. That was my first Empathy Circle experience in this sort of format. I really enjoyed it. You have to really concentrate, don't you? And that remembering all of that, the active listening. So it's sort of being quite focused. But there was something that Erin, I hope Erin won't mind me saying, but it was great. And you said the things you feel become real once they are reflected. I really like that, Erin. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Corinne?
Yes, for me, it was also my first empathy circle, and I found it very inspiring, and I'm very grateful for all the people who shared and listened. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Corinne. Good to have you here. Deborah?
Yeah, this is my second Empathy Circle. Really positive experience, and I feel, yeah, I'm gaining in confidence. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Betsy?
Yeah, hi, this is my first Empathy Circle. I found it really inspiring, and I have all these different plans that I would love to use, and I can't wait to come to the next one.
Great to see you. Kat?
Hi, this was also my first one, and I enjoyed it as well. I definitely found it quite interesting and interested to know more. I definitely felt my empathy muscles getting worked out as well. So that was interesting to engage that part, and I'm interested to do more.
Great to have you. George?
Aloha. This was my first Empathy Circle, and I really enjoyed it. I guess I'm having computer problems because right after I got to share, then I got booted out, and so I've just been waiting and feeling a little sad that I didn't get to hear the other shares. But I do like how simple it is to get going. Now, there are skills to learn on the active listening, you know, and the reflecting and the sharing, but I really enjoyed my experience. Thank you.
Great to have you. Welcome. Anne?
This is my first Empathy Circle, and I think maybe I shared too much and I didn't hear as well as I should have, but I'm working on it.
Well, that's what we're about. It's not about perfection. It's about building bridges. And so as long as we're open to do that, there's nothing to worry about. Great. Graham?
I'm thinking of somebody who cursed at President Ford, and they said that they doubted that he could chew gum and walk at the same time. And so here I am as the facilitator, the first time as a facilitator, and I couldn't manage the clock, and the all sorts of things were crazy, but it was good fun, and I really enjoyed the experience. And so thank you very much, everybody.
Great. Look forward to seeing you in the training.
Thank you.
Heather?
This is my first Empathy Circle, and I have been trained in restorative practices and use them quite a bit in my school, and I was curious what's different. And I know we still have that feeling of you want to ask the other person more questions and things, but I did feel that it was a little bit more connecting and interactive. And just this time I felt like I really got to know our other three group members, and Graham did a wonderful job facilitating for us. So it was really great experience.
Thank you, Heather. Jane?
Yes, it was, yeah, it's my second time, and Graham's made all the environments to be comfortable, fully comfortable for me. So it was really great. And like you said, that it's breathing each other's and leading us to this, like we are talking different things, but it seems like we are talking into one topic at the end. That's what I felt.
Very interesting. Welcome, Jane. Eli?
Hi. So I was really impressed with how people are willing to be very vulnerable and talk about what they're feeling when they're nervous and scared or whatever. It always impresses me that people will trust absolute strangers with their tender feelings. And so it's always very moving to me to be in an empathy circle where that happens.
Thank you, Eli. Susanna?
This was my first empathy circle, and I felt a little just tossed into it. I was surprised to be just starting off right away doing it, and it turned out to be a very good experience. I felt very comfortable in our group, and it's interesting how powerful it can be to just have what you said back to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. Anatoly?
This is my second empathy circle, but the previous one was elsewhere and a bit different. This time it's really was really really fun, really feeling like connected with the other people, total strangers, and suddenly very close to them, and that's really very, very special. And I'm very curious to do more and to have more of this, create more of this.
Great. Well, welcome and hope to see you in future trainings. Maxie?
Thank you. This was my first empathy circle, and I was very intrigued about the amount of deep listening that I was required to have while having to reflect on the person I was listening to without diagnosing what they're saying, without sharing my opinion. And I am hoping with time to really build that empathy muscle. So I will be signing up to a training in the future.
Great, we'd love to have you. And Nadav, if I pronounced that right.
Yes. I feel really good about what happened in our breakout room. Like I feel a lot of gratitude for the people who listened and for people who gave me the opportunity to listen to them. And I think it was what I needed, and it also gave me a better sense of how to facilitate.
Great, thanks. We'll hope to see you in trainings. I really appreciate it. Especially, I'd like to express my appreciation for people for whom English is not their first language. Again, I feel very enriched when you have the courage to do that. I speak one language, sometimes better than others. And what I say about the empathy circle is that for some of you, you never met me, and after 2 hours, you'd let me house sit. So anyway, that's what I have to say, and I'll throw it back to Edwin.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bill. For me, it's always very gratifying to be with a whole group of people who are working towards creating more of an empathic culture. It just feels great to be working towards something that I see as very constructive and positive in the world. And to see a whole screen full of people working towards that is just feels amazingly good. So that's it for our circle, but here's a link I'm putting in if you want to click on that link. That's to a sort of a debrief form to ask you about the sort of getting feedback about the session today. Trying to develop it, to refine it, and want to make sure that it addresses everyone's questions and needs. And ideally, I'd like to create a video that has the didactic component of it, so that I like to, in these circles, have as little time for sort of didactic information, push that off to a separate video that you can watch, and just have more time for the doing. So if you just click on that link, and as we close here, if you could take some time to fill that out, I'd really appreciate it. Plus, it'll give us your contact info, your email, and your name, and then we can follow up with you as well. So with that, we'll close and maybe give a twinkle finger for a group portrait So I hope to see you all next time, Friday, and in the trainings every Friday too. So
Okay, great.
bye for now.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.